dinosaur.
Well, although kids seem to love him, the tuneful dino star has driven many adults to demand his demise.
And no surprise, the web is a haven for these anti-Barney activists.
Warning, parents with 3-year-olds are advised to cover those innocent little eyes.
It seems some people want all dinosaurs to remain extinct, even cuddly fictional ones. Leading the vanguard is the anti-Barney jihad, whose grim motto is, Barney must die, all else is irrelevant.
Barney must die because, in addition to being extraordinarily saccharine and just annoying, he also makes the world seem like it's always happy and dandy and fine for kids when it really isn't that way.
Like many fanatical movements, the jihad began in the shadowy underground.
The jihad against Barney was a movement started on the newsgroup Alt Barney Dinosaur Die 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 by a group of college students who found Barney to be extraordinarily annoying.
And what's a jihad without jihad art, which you can find on this page. There are even games to download, designed to aid your dinosaur death wish, like this After Dark screensaver.
Of course, no jihad site would be complete without euphemisms for the bloated sack of purple protoplasm. Names like
the dark and purple one, Lord of the Sponge Minions, Purple Pestilence, Violet Vermin, he who dances badly, Magenta Moron.
There are as many disparaging songs about Barney as there are names. I hate you, you hate me, we're dysfunctional family. With a knife in his back and an arrow through his head, now that purple dork is dead.
Maybe we better go back to the jihad.
Maybe.
Who, not wanting to hog all the fun, provides links to other web pages devoted to Barney annihilation.
We have links to various organization homepages, links to various Barney-related software games, and links to various Barney stories.
One of the most interactive links takes you to the Barney Destruction Service, where you can see what happens when various weapons are used against the big bloated one.
I love you.
Yes, no matter how you slice him, the web is the place to share the hate for the poor old lavender lard lord, who has made at least one man's life miserable.
When I see the color purple, I try very hard not to throw up.
Every computer user needs one of these, of course, but not every mouse is as boring and white bread as this one. There are a lot of mice out there you can get that'll add a little spice to your computing life. For instance, there's this one. It's the Lifetime mouse from Keytronic. This sealed design here helps keep the gunk out, and it's perfect for all you slobs out there. After running it through water, crumbs, dust balls, and all kinds of other nasty stuff, we had to give up. It kept on working. This little tough guy cost around $50. Now here's a mouse that thinks it's a foot pedal. Watch this. It's called the No Hands mouse from Hunter Digital. Your right foot controls the cursor, while your left foot clicks. Takes a little getting used to, of course, but it's kind of fun once you do. The No Hands mouse sells for about $200. Now this one looks like a TV remote control, but it's really the Star Trek cordless trackball from Zen Technology. It uses infrared. We found that it wasn't exactly as responsive as a traditional mouse, though. The Star Trek costs about $100. Now, most people are happy with the mouse they already have, but if you have a special need, or you're just willing to shell out some additional bucks for these custom mice, then you really ought to consider one of these right here.
When we come back, we'll check out a roadside stand on the information superhighway, the Cyber Trading Post.
Cyberlife is brought to you in part by Priority Mail from the U.S. Postal Service.
FedEx uses over 500 airplanes to handle your 2-day package. Cost? About $12.
UPS uses over 500 airplanes to handle your 2-day package. Cost? About $6.
The U.S. Postal Service uses over 15,000 airplanes to handle your Priority Mail 2- to 3-day package. Cost? $3.
So, 12, 6, 3, what's your priority? Priority Mail from the U.S. Postal Service.
With its overwhelming popularity, the internet has become a kind of virtual melting pot of diverse cultures from around the world.
Yeah, absolutely. And we recently checked out a new website that's a unique blend of ancient traditions and today's technology. Welcome to ATIN, the Advanced Tribal Integrated Information Network. a new website that promotes Native American culture and business.
Team, the word, is a Navajo word meaning roadway or pathway. To us, it symbolizes what we're creating for our clients, is creating a pathway for businesses, artists, Indian gaming, basically creating economic development via the internet.
The website is part online art gallery and part high-tech trading post, as well as a meeting place for members of dozens of Native American tribes.
What we have here is what we call Native Cyber Trade. It has 7 different categories: arts and crafts, associations of businesses, down to tourism. We have clients ranging all the way from Canada to San Diego. The most exciting part is that the responses that we're getting internationally from Czechoslovakia, from Germany, from Australia, as far as the interest level that is there. And so the internet can now be used as a way to reach that audience who has interest in the products and services that are being offered. And so that's what I see as a big advantage, becoming more competitive.
But exploring new markets is not the only benefit that the internet has to offer Native Americans.
One thing that's important is that in advertising, marketing, public relations, we as Indian people now are able to control our message. If we're going to do something, we can put it out there in real-time information. You know, in terms of something happened today, it can be out there in an hour. And I think the internet is education about Native Americans and who we are.
Lawrence Brown believes that the internet offers Native Americans a unique opportunity to blend their rich traditions with today's technology.
I see the technology being culturally relevant by the fact that you are using images to communicate. The Native American community has always been image-driven as far as the communication of how they express themselves and how they say things. And other people across the world can see that.
Well, that wraps up this edition of Cyberlife. If you'd like more information on any of tonight's stories, or if you'd just like to know how to get to some of our featured web pages, you can find us at Discovery Online.
Just use your web browser and head to www.discovery.com. Click on air, and that's where we'll be.
If you're not on the net, tune into our half-hour weekend edition, and we'll give you some of the other ways you can get in touch with us. I'm Gina Smith.
And I'm Chris Eddy. We'll see you tomorrow.
Was Unraveled. Our story starts here, Vassar College in Poughkeepsie, New York, home of Shakespearean scholar and occasional literary sleuth Donald Foster.
Years ago in 1984, I found a poem by one W.S., a text published in only a few copies by Shakespeare's publisher, and I thought that this might possibly have been Shakespeare's and studied the problem.
Literary analysts believe that each author, over a large body of work, creates a stylistic pattern in syntax, references, and vocabulary that is as unique as a fingerprint.
This makes it possible to take features of Shakespeare's language and to see who else uses the language in the same way.
After creating a 12 million word database of the works of Shakespeare and his Renaissance contemporaries, a unique writing style was shown by the computer to be common only to the bard and the mysterious W.S. Foster knew that he had his man.
Meanwhile, Foster was asked by New York Magazine to solve another more pressing mystery.
Some of the candidates that I looked at first were Christopher Buckley, Lisa Grunwald, Maureen Dowd, Gary Trudeau.
Quickly, Foster's search technique detected a common literary thread.
We can simply look for where Anonymous's language pops up. So let's just take some words, riffle, sleazy, talky, and so on, and see who besides Anonymous uses these words. Well, there's Joe Klein again, and Anonymous.
Newsweek columnist Joe Klein was suddenly in the hot seat, betrayed by a love of odd words and phrases like unironic and tarmac hopping.
When I was satisfied that Klein was the only likely candidate, I wrote that article for New York Magazine.
Klein's denials were swift and angry, both publicly and in private.
I was taken aback a little when he denied it quite vigorously and adamantly that he didn't write it, he didn't know who wrote it, he didn't help anybody write it. It made me a little skittish for a while, because if I were wrong about primary colors, it would be supposed that I was wrong about the Shakespeare elegy as well.
But Foster stood by his research, and the echo of the findings reverberated from the Washington Post all the way to the Oval Office.
Joe Klein introduces the entire Newsweek table to his imaginary friend.
Finally, last week, Joe Klein came clean, vindicating the Vassar professor and his research.
Oh, I feel quite jubilant that Klein has been smoked out of the closet. What we can learn from this experience is that it's no longer possible to throw stones under a cloak of anonymity, that authorship sooner or later will be revealed, and that we all need to be responsible for what we say.
And now for something completely different.
Monty Python is continuing its assault on your computer screen.
That's right. The troupe is developing 2 new projects designed to bring the Python's take no prisoners humor to your desktop.
But if these projects happen to take a while to reach your PC, well, Eric Idle wants you to know just one thing.
ROM wasn't built in a day.
Now for something completely different.
Monty Python's Complete Waste of Time is one of the best-selling CD-ROMs in history, and it all started with an old friendship between Bob Ezrin and Pythonite Eric Idle.
When we started talking about the Python project, we laughed from the first conversation on.
Well done, player. And now, spot the loony.
That would turn the computer into a delivery mechanism for comedy. Nobody ever thought that was possible.
I'm a lumberjack and I'm okay. I sleep all night, I work all day.
We tried to with their minds and destroy their wallets and basically, you know, destroy their equilibrium.
The need for layers of ludicrous sound bites, video clips, and interactive games pushed the early boundaries of what CD-ROMs could do, and drew the Python troupe back to polish old bits.
Polly Parrot, wake up! Polly!
Now that's what I call a dead parrot. The only reason that it had been sitting on its perch in the first place was that it had been nailed there.
It was interesting working with Terry Gilliam and Eric Idle, because every 5 minutes I'd be calling him going, Eric, man, can you just do one more thing? Because we got the Pythons back together to re-record a whole bunch of new dialogue and things for that title.
Millions of CD-ROM sales later, another reunion was obviously in order. This time, an interactive version of a film classic was The Quest.
And be known quite simply as the quest for the Holy Grail.
Run away!
Monty Python and the Quest for the Holy Grail is a game, but boy, do we mess with your brain while you're trying to find the true Holy Grail.
Your mother was a hamster and your father smelt of elderberries.
Instead of years' worth of TV skits, the challenge now was to make the most of just 90 minutes of material for a game that should last days.
Because we've got some games which we've invented called, for example, Spank the Virgin, which occurs in Castle Anthrax. We've got Drop the Dead Cow game. We've got Bring Out Your Dead game, where you have to bury dead bodies. I mean, there's a lot of games as you go along progressing to search for the Grail.
With the Grail now firmly in hand and awaiting release, the Pythonites are marching toward new horizons. Not surprisingly, their latest crusade is to plant their flag on the World Wide Web with the Python site.
And now for something completely different.
So we hope it'll be entertaining. It'll be a bit mad. We're going to make it a misinformation highway. And I think they can expect the unexpected, which is what you can always expect from Python.
We've all heard the predictions of the demise of Apple. Well, the writers at Macworld say, don't bet on it. They teamed up with Frog Design, who designed the very first Mac, to imagine what the future of Macintosh could be. And this is it. It looks like a piece of op art, but in this case, form will follow function. This rail system allows for easily interchangeable accessories like speakers, camera, and telephones. An infrared eye reads the signal from the mouse and keyboards. No messy wires to get in your way. The screen is the first fully adjustable screen, not just side to side, but anywhere you want it, because it's flat. In fact, the whole design is about eliminating clutter and putting only what you want on the desktop. Until now, technology and its limitations have hampered creative design, but the people at Macworld and Frog Design say that doesn't have to be the case. Now, this is just an imaginary product, so it's not for sale, but Macworld hopes this will inspire Apple to build something like this, or better. Next, want to crush your business rivals? Want to grind your financial boot heel on their dubious assets? Well, you can. All in fun, of course.
They have to work together in teams, and they've got to deal with technology that's not always doing exactly what they want.
And we'll meet some of the hottest new designers of video games.
It's about the evolution of the female character into a strong, powerful individual.
Women who are breaking the boys' club wide open.
Faced with a decision that will change their lives forever. Katie and Eilish on Discovery Sunday, beginning at 9 Eastern, 8 Central on the Discovery Channel.
In this age of technology, pilots train on flight simulators.
Architects can create 3D models of their designs.
And lonely hearts can find love in the virtual world.
Now students from some of the best universities in the country can duke it out virtually to see who'll be the next barbarian at the gate.
Right, you can think of it as kind of an MBA in a box. Welcome to the first Capitalism Challenge, where these 3 academic teams will go head-to-head in a brain-straining battle to see who can best manage the world of supply and demand. Each team plays against the computer for points. But capitalism, distributed by interactive magic, is not a dull academic exercise. It's a fast-paced sim game available to anyone who wants to farm, manufacture, ship, and sell everything under the sun.
A game like Capitalism gives students real-world experience in 2 distinct ways. The first way is that the actual play of the game has more of the complexity and turbulence and fast-moving competition that we experience in the real world of work.
We've got serious debt problems because we started a mining operation a little too early in the game. We are leveraged to the hilt.
The other way, though, that they get more real-world experience is that they have to work together in teams to figure out what they're going to do, and they've got to deal with technology that's not always doing exactly what they want.
We've grown our own eggs and chicken, and we'd sure like to round it out with some beef and some milk and some bread, but we're not being able to figure out who's providing those products.
3 hours and many mistakes later.
We're still losing money, guys.
All of those late nights cramming for finals seem to be paying off.
We came out of like a $7 million loss, basically, into $30 million in profit now.
We're also investing in our training of our people, so we've got a good qualified workforce to bring us through this next phase.
Now we're to the point where we're selling things and we're finding that the supply can't keep up with our demand.
Just stop.
45 seconds.
Time is running out. The teams are neck and neck, and it's still anyone's game.
And limits on it.
And link the textiles into the other, and we're going to make jeans. So.
In final seconds, the Stanford Technology Venture team makes a bullish move that leaves the bears behind.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, stop. End of game.
And the winner is, by a mere 9 points,
the TVC fellows. Let's have a round of applause.
In spite of all the hoopla, the first annual Capitalism Challenge may have some parents asking, why shell out $30K a year in tuition when for around $29, anyone can get an MBA in a box? When you think of hot new video games, do you think of testosterone-laden violence fests? Does it seem like they're all graphics and all action, but without hardly any storyline?
Well, the days of gun-toting, blood-flowing, macho-maniacal games may soon be over thanks to a new kind of game designer.
Women.
Let's go, girls.
Meet Jillian Bonner, Colette Michaud, and Roberta Williams. 3 software designers who are broadening the horizons of the gaming world. As both the star and executive producer of Black Dragon Productions' debut CD-ROM, Jillian Bonner is portraying women in a positive light.
The title is called Rihanna Rouge. It's about the evolution of character, the female character, into a strong, powerful individual. By and large, the game market is predominantly male, but I would hope that non-traditional gamers like women would buy this because they're interested in what I'm trying to say, and that you can be a strong, sexy female, and that's not a bad thing, and be intelligent.
Sierra Online's Phantasmagoria also features a strong female lead. In this groundbreaking horror genre game, players must make their way through a frightening virtual world and match wits with a diabolical nemesis.
I sort of had a story mulling around in my mind for several years that I wanted to do that involved basically an evil magician and his eccentric house, and what if some innocent girl happened to wander into his world or into his house, and what kinds of strange things could happen there. And sort of took that basic idea and went forward with it. But then when you start thinking of horror, then you have to think, well, how are you going to carry it off? What's the essences of horror? One of the things that was pretty obvious to me was you need actors. I don't think you can really be scared with cartoon characters or computer-looking characters, and they really have to be human.
The world is in great danger.
On the lighter side is LucasArts' Mortimer and the Riddles of the Medallion. This game for kids aged 4 to 9 was designed to educate as well as entertain.
I really wanted Mortimer to be a game that both girls and boys wanted to play.
Hey, look, it's like a piece of jewelry. I saw it first.
In order to do that, I wanted to have a strong story and strong characters. I think that as time goes by and more women get into the industry and are designing games, that there's going to be a lot more designing going into content, not just the action and not just the technology, that content is going to continue to become more and more important in games.
You got it, you got it, you got it.
These women designers are carving out their very own niche, right alongside their male counterparts. But don't align them too closely with the guys.
I am not a computer geek. Computer geeks are weird. No offense.
When we come back, we check into the Cyber Suite and see what kind of high-tech $2,000 can buy.
And we'll check out a roadside stand on the information superhighway, the Cyber Trading Post.
An invention.
The trekking through the jungles of Africa.
All the photographs.
These days, the wired business traveler with a taste for the best can have it all at high-priced, high-tech hotels.
We recently toured a one-of-a-kind luxury suite where CEO cyber surfers can log on to saw logs in high style. Welcome to the Cyber Suite, the latest accommodation being offered to business-oriented guests at the Century Plaza Hotel in Los Angeles, California.
Now, the suite is actually responding to what we think are the needs of today's business traveler. They want comforts, they want information in a faster than the speed of sound fashion, and they also want to be able to replicate their business environment while they're traveling. Alexander?
May I help you?
The entire suite is wired to a cyber butler, which gives the guest total remote control of dozens of functions. They can open curtains, dim lights, even draw a bath with a simple click of a wireless mouse. Among the many other custom amenities is a PlasmaVision TV.
This has about 680 pixels of resolution compared to a normal TV that has about 240. This tube itself is probably no greater than 2 inches.
The suite also boasts the latest in video teleconferencing equipment.
The Century Plaza has worked in sync with NetTV, who has really developed a state-of-the-art combination television and computer system that has all of the latest bells and whistles. It's driven on a 166 Pentium. It has 32 megabytes of RAM. And the greatest thing about it, it really gives the business traveler real-time worldwide information via both the internet and America Online.
But at $2,000 a night, we just had to ask, when all the work is done, what can the proverbial executive on the go do for fun?
Alexander, party time.
Well, if you're anything like Jim Petrus, you can strap on a virtual headset and get lost in cyberspace. Rock on, dude.
I can't even hear.
With its overwhelming popularity, the internet has become a kind of virtual melting pot of diverse cultures from around the world.
Yeah, absolutely. And we recently checked out a new website that's a unique blend of ancient traditions and today's technology. Welcome to ATIN, the Advanced Tribal Integrated Information Network, a new website that promotes Native American culture and business.
ATIN, the word, is a Navajo word meaning roadway or pathway. To us, it symbolizes what we're creating for our clients. It's creating a pathway for businesses, artists, Indian gaming, basically creating economic development via the internet.
The website is part online art gallery and part high-tech trading post, as well as a meeting place for members of dozens of Native American tribes.
What we have here is what we call Native Cyber Trade. It has 7 different categories: arts and crafts, associations of businesses, down to tourism. We have clients ranging all the way from Canada to San Diego. The most exciting part is that the responses that we're getting internationally from Czechoslovakia, from Germany, from Australia, as far as the interest level that is there. And so the internet can now be used as a way to reach that audience who has interest in the products and services that are being offered. And so that's what I see as a big advantage, becoming more competitive.
But exploring new markets is not the only benefit that the internet has to offer Native Americans.
One thing that's important is that in advertising, marketing, public relations, we as Indian people now are able to control our message. If we're going to do something, we can put it out there in real-time information. You know, in terms of if something happened today, it can be out there in an hour. And I think the internet is education about Native Americans and who we are.
Lawrence Brown believes that the internet offers Native Americans a unique opportunity to blend their rich traditions with today's technology.
I see the technology being culturally relevant by the fact that you are using images to communicate. The Native American community has always been image-driven as far as the communication of how they express themselves and how they say things. And other people across the world can see that.
Cyberlife will be right back. That wraps up this edition of Cyberlife. If you'd like more information on any of our stories, or if you'd just like to know how to get to some of our featured web pages, you can find us at Discovery Online.
Just use your web browser and head to www.discovery.com. Click on there and you'll find us waiting.
Now, if you want to write us the old-fashioned way, use this address and drop us a line, or you can ask us a question.
Now, this week, a viewer wrote, "Dear Cyberlife, I have a question. Who invented the first computer and why?" Signed, Leslie Holland.
That's a good question. Well, Leslie, the idea of the first computer came from a man named Vannevar Bush. It was just after World War II. Now, this MIT researcher proposed a machine that he called the Memex. It was a device for storing information and pictures. And the point of it, he said, would be to help government employees who couldn't manage to keep track of all their paperwork.
Yeah, right. But Bush did envision a desktop-sized system, and his ideas for how it would work are remarkably similar to how computers have turned out today.
But the real first digital computer is generally considered to be the ENIAC. Developed in 1946, ENIAC stood for Electronic Numerical Integrator and Computer. And this calculator was huge. In fact, it was as big as this entire room.
And if you think your computer is slow, you wouldn't have believed the ENIAC. Calculating just a few numbers could take hours.
So the next time you look at your computer, Leslie, and think of how slow it is, think of the giant ENIAC.
And thank your lucky stars you don't have that beast in your room.
That's for sure.
I'm Chris Eddy.
And I'm Gina Smith. We'll see you tomorrow.